part 2 of Suzanne Morphew. I originally posted a video podcast about Suzanne when she initially went missing. There was a lot of hope back then that she would have been found. There was also a lot of rumors back then, and the rumors have continued and gotten crazier. However, Suzanne is still missing, and it has been quite a long time. It is now September, and she went missing in May. Welcome to Left Undone, Incomplete Investigations. I'm Kathryn. I want to talk about some of my ideas and theories and thoughts about the Suzanne Morphew case. And of course, let's talk about the facts as well. So welcome to Left Undone. Please like, please subscribe, please ring the bell for notifications. We go live every Saturday morning. See you there. But right now, let's talk about Suzanne. Watch all the way to the end because I have some information from you. I was watching the live on Profiling Evil tonight, and they had Andy on, who is Suzanne's brother. He is organizing a search for this month in Salida, Colorado. So there are many ways you can help. And I just wanted to give you the update on that information. So if you watch to the end, I will pull together the link to Profiling Evil and to the phone number. The hotel in the area is Gateway Motel. They are actually offering for the volunteers to stay there at no charge. So there's a GoFundMe. So I'll give you the link below to Profiling Evil so that you can find all the information on their website, all the information on their YouTube channel. Okay, so link below and I will catch you then. But here's my info on the Suzanne Morphew case. Barry Morphew hired a man named Jefferey Puckett the day before Mother's Day. He asked him to go out of town on Sunday to Denver to do a job that was going to start on Monday. So they went out of town on Sunday, Mother's Day. The job was to start the next day on Monday. Now, Jefferey had never worked with Barry before. He hired him remotely and told him where to be and when. They did know each other, according to Lauren Scharf from Fox 21 News, Colorado. They did know each other in the past from a different job. But Jefferey Puckett had never specifically worked for Barry Morphew before. So this was the first time that Jefferey was to work for Barry. So Barry went to Denver first. He got up about 5 a.m, the day that Suzanne disappeared on Mother's Day, drove the 3.5 hours to Denver, checked into the hotel in his name, got it set up supposedly got this room for Jefferey Puckett, who was there to work for him. When Jefferey Puckett got to the hotel room that evening, Barry was already gone. Barry had told him he had to leave due to a family emergency, which we know the family emergency is Suzanne being missing. So Barry got this hotel room for Jefferey, and Jefferey showed up. He did report to the authorities later on, and this has all just come out recently in the media, that there was a strong chlorine smell in the room. There was also a piece of Barry Morphew's mail in the trash can. Jefferey Puckett in the interview says he probably put it there as an alibi. Jefferey Puckett has been in prison before. I think from what Barry Morphew's saying, he was in there for 9 years. So he kind of knows how the criminal mind works, most likely.
His investigative team has not lost focus.
The sheriff says the team has conducted hundreds of interviews both in Colorado and out of state, and that their sole focus is either finding Suzanne or determining the circumstances behind her disappearance.
Fox 21's Lauren Scharf is live in the studio now. Lauren, these explosive headlines brought this case back on everyone's mind.
Daniela, face-to-face and on the phone, I spoke with Barry Morphew, giving me his side of the story on the record for the first time. This after a man he used for contract work spoke out about what he found in a hotel room Barry had used the weekend of Suzanne's disappearance. Tonight, exclusive interviews with both men. So I want to do this on record. Tell me your side of the story, Barry.
Listen, Jeff Puckett was in prison for 9 years.
Still, Barry had hired Puckett for a project in Broomfield, fixing a wall on what turned out to be the weekend his wife, Suzanne, was reported missing.
So I said, listen, I need to do this job. I will pay you good money to come and help me. I gave him a job and an opportunity. They all jumped on it.
Barry said he'd been planning the project for a month.
That had nothing to do with Suzanne missing.
And Barry paid for Puckett's room, but didn't stay.
And that's why he had to leave for family emergency on Sunday night.
Puckett says he walked into the room set aside for him, and it looked like Barry had spent time inside at some point as well.
Like he wasn't there long, and so it was bought. The bed wasn't hardly slept in, but I wasn't laid in or nothing. Just kind of like laid on or something maybe. Maybe got in there, took a shower, and that's it. Washed up and left.
But he said something was off, a distinct smell. Describe what the room smelled like.
Chlorine. I mean, I'm not gonna beat around the bush. It smelled real strong, and I'm like, damn. That's just all I thought.
And the next morning, a discovery that just didn't sit right, a piece of mail in the trash inside the room addressed to Barry.
Well, I found the mail the next morning, but this kind of like, this looks like an alibi, you know what I'm saying? Just the way the things was.
Fox 21 News is the only news outlet that's talked with Barry Morphew. He says when he got the news about Suzanne, he left in a hurry.
I rushed home, left all my tools at the hotel, called my workers, and said, I've got a family emergency. You're going to have to figure this out on your own.
But Puckett says
Well, nothing to work with.
the crew was left high and dry, and the wall couldn't be completed.
Went as far as no dirt, to put down there, put it behind the wall. Once you build it up, you got to you run a layer block, do dirt, get inspected, and then keep continuing on to the next layer. And then wasn't nothing like that to work with. And it kind of pissed me off, so I come on back.
Puckett says he turned what he found over to authorities.
I mean, it's either foul play or an alien got her. I mean, we know aliens, that's kind of far-fetched.
Barry told Fox 21 News he's not worried about anything left behind in that room.
I didn't do nothing wrong in the hotel. There's cameras all over that place. I did nothing wrong.
Noting even he had noticed the smell of chlorine but shrugged it off.
I did not go to the pool and I did not get chlorine. I'm sure that they washed the rooms with that for the COVID. I don't know. I smelled it too when I was in there.
The hotel says its pool isn't even open, an effect of ongoing coronavirus restrictions. The hotel also says it uses peroxide multi-purpose cleaner in its rooms. But another question involving odor following a search of the Morphew family home.
From what I understood, secondhand, they said there was an overwhelming smell of bleach in the home.
That information apparently was relayed by initial investigators.
I've heard the FBI lie, and I know they can legally do that in their investigations, but it just pains me to know that they are doing this to me and my family.
They did ask us, why can't we find any coolers at that house? And I said, well, I have no idea. I wouldn't know how many they had to begin with, but I'd have to assume as a hunter and a guy that maybe camps, he would have a few, and they couldn't find a single one.
The Morphew property has been searched multiple times with 2 separate sealed search warrants, and no arrests or person of interest have been named. Put it on record, Barry, right now. If people think that you did it, what would you tell them?
Absolutely not. I love my wife. I would never hurt my wife. She is the light of my and my daughter's lives.
The Chaffee County Sheriff's Office is the lead agency on this case. I personally have made several attempts to open the lines of communication with Sheriff Speasy. He hasn't returned any of my calls. Next week on Fox 21 News, we'll tell you what's being called into question and why. Guy.
So that piece of mail was in the trash, and Barry Morphew had to leave before Jeffery got there. Barry didn't get his own hotel room, from what they're saying in the interviews, which is odd, but he did go into this particular room, rented it for Jeffery. The job they were on, or to start the next day, was to fix a project that they had done before that was messed up, needed some repair, needed to be redone. So they were going to fix it, but no equipment was left to do the job. Now I have a couple of theories about the fact that there was no equipment left. First of all, if Barry Morphew truly was concerned about his wife and he wanted to run home as it was a family emergency. He jumped in his truck and he went home, right? I mean, like any panicky husband would do, you might forget to leave the equipment. You might, right? So I can give him that as the panicked husband on their way home, worried about the wife. They did say that Barry and the daughters were in contact that day. And the daughters were saying they can't get a hold of our mom. Barry was trying to get a hold of her as well. And when the day went on and nobody had gotten a hold of her, the daughters did notify the neighbor to go check on their mother. The neighbor went over there, saw there were 2 cars there and a bicycle was missing. So she called 911. At that point, it was approximately around 6 p.m. She called 911 and the police responded. So Barry may have been notified at that point in this mix up of what happened first, the chicken or the egg kind of thing. Like, how come he left and said there was a family emergency before the 911 call was ever called? I don't give that any credence until we actually see text messages, timelines, knowing when the girls said we're going to call 911 or we're sending the neighbor over, and knowing exactly via cameras when Barry would have left. So the fact that he left before the 911 call was made, it doesn't mean anything to me at this point. It might, but it doesn't to me at this point. So he took off, maybe took his equipment with him because it was in a panic. The other thing that Jeffery Puckett says is the room had a very strong chlorine smell. Okay, we're in the middle of COVID. It's May. We all went on lockdown in March. Barry went in and used this hotel room. Was he actually being helpful? Like, let's clean up this room a little bit. I just used some of the things in here. I touched things. Let me wipe them down with chlorine so that I don't expose somebody, because I was just in their sanitized hotel room. Or was he trying to hide something with all this chlorine smell? We don't know that. But that could go either way as well, in my opinion. He could have been considerate. Or, maybe they don't use chlorine wipes, but those bleachy chlorine wipes, people say, oh no, there's no bleach in the Clorox wipes, but there are ones with bleach and there are ones without. Believe me, I have ruined clothes with the ones with bleach because I got it on me and didn't realize I had the ones with bleach and got spots all over my new sweatshirt. So they do make them with bleach in it. So it's very possible that Barry could have been being considerate, wiping down the sink, the counters, stuff he touched, stuff he used. Who knows? It's a reach, but it could have happened that way. Jeffrey stayed around, but he found that there was no equipment, so he didn't do the job, and he left Tuesday. He did get to the hotel on Sunday evening, so he stayed there until Tuesday. So the whole family emergency with the daughters and chaos, I would like to see the actual timeline of the phone calls, the text messages, and the security cameras. Barry told Lauren Scharf, Fox 21 News, that he woke up on Sunday morning about 5 a.m. and then headed to Denver. So Suzanne would have still been home at that point. So again, the minutes are unclear. We need a definite timeline via digital evidence, which I'm sure law enforcement would have. Here's where my theory comes in and the reason I'm making this video today. I am curious about the fact that Barry has pointed out, look at the security cameras. I was at that hotel. I didn't do anything wrong. There was nothing. You can see me in security cameras. Could it possibly have been the alibi? Could Barry have hired Jeffery Puckett, thinking he's not the sharpest tool in the shed, hired him because he has a very similar body style, build, height? From a distance, Jeffery Puckett could probably pass for Barry Morphew. So did he hire him, got his hotel room, said, here, have this hotel room. I got it for you. It only has Barry's name on it. Brought him in there and would be able to say in the security videos, that's me. Could he have done that? Could that have been Barry's alibi? I was there all weekend. I was there all Sunday, all Monday, all whatever. I was there. I was in the security cameras, but something messed it up. The fact that the girls were looking for her, the fact that he thought he was going to be able to stay there, say he was there longer when he wasn't. Did it mess this up? Did this alibi get messed up from the get-go because of the fact that the girls who were camping started panicking about their mom and he had to get the heck out of Dodge? It's very possible that that could have been why Barry hired this particular guy, put him in his hotel room with his name on it. It's a theory. It's a thought. What do you think? Make comments. Make comments below. Let me know what you think about that. Is that possible? Is it reaching? Could it be? I mean, we don't know how Barry's mind was thinking at the time, but could he have logically have hired this person, threw him in that hotel room, didn't plan on being there, but had him as an alibi? Now, as far as this Jefferey Puckett guy, he has a record. Basically, Barry's saying, the dude's probably a big fat liar because he's a criminal and he was in prison for 9 years. But then again, you can look at this guy's side of the coin, and what does he have to gain, from just being honest about the chlorine smell and stuff. And like you say, give law enforcement everything you have and let them figure it out. You can sit there and be suspicious, but let them have what you have. Let them know. And I think that's all that Jefferey Puckett did. I did look at his Facebook profile, and, there's nothing really interesting there or concerning. He has family members on there, but there's nothing suspicious about him that would give him any reason to tell any kind of lies that I can tell. And I would be suspicious too. I definitely, if I were him, would have went to law enforcement and said, look, he put me in this room that he booked in his name that day. He didn't leave me equipment for the job. He took off saying he had a family emergency. Never left us anything. We never got to do the job. Nobody showed up. And then you can look at it in Barry's side of the point of view and be like, screw the job. My wife's missing. I can't worry about that right now. They can just go home or whatever, hotel's paid for. So there's a couple ways to look at that. But one of the things that I'm trying to figure out is if Barry did this, if he set this up, if he planned this, if he hired that guy the day before Suzanne went missing and hired him to be the Barry lookalike, is that possible? Could that have happened? Is that even a plausible theory? I don't know. What do you think? Barry has told a lot of conflicting information along the way, which makes him look very suspicious again, but there's nothing solid that we can see at this point, except for a lot of different stories, a lot of different changes in timelines, telling them that he initially was going there, or there was a source that said that Barry initially went to Denver for a firefighter training. And that person said, as far as we know, there weren't any kind of trainings going on that weekend due to COVID, but maybe it was a private one. And then the story became, no, he went there for a job. So there are some inconsistencies that make people raise their eyebrows quite a bit. There were some other employees there at this Holiday Inn, according to some of the internet info out there. Cassidy Cordova, and Morgan Gentile, and then Jefferey Puckett. And they were there for the Broomfield RTD wall repair job. So they were all there for this job. Haven't heard much from the other ones. Now, I also think that if it's true, if Suzanne's husband, Barry, if they were in an abusive, if he was abusing her, it would have been going on for years. It wouldn't have been new. You could have battered woman syndrome, battered partner syndrome, whatever's politically correct these days. And she could have never told people that she was being abused, right? Because the cycle of abuse is the honeymoon. I'm sorry. I love you, Suzanne. You're fabulous. Our kids are wonderful. Why would we mess this up? I'm sorry. I'm an asshole, And so if she was in that type of a marriage relationship where there's this cycle of abuse, there's also the honeymoon phase, and it goes round and round and round, and then they do something worse, and then they apologize. You know, my very best friend was in that kind of relationship, and she's dead. And her husband is walking around, shot in the right side of her head, and she's left-handed. Open and closed, suicide. Nobody even really looked into it. No note, no nothing, but was going to domestic violence classes and told a few people about the fact that she was being abused by him. She told me, but she didn't tell me how severe it was. I think it was worse than she let me know. Women tend not to tell. They don't even tell their closest friends how bad it is. So very possibly, they also isolate you, which my friend's husband did, which Suzanne's husband very possibly could have been isolating her by moving her from Indiana to Colorado. All about him, his dreams in an isolated mountain home, very possibly could have been a plan that I'm going to move her, I'm going to isolate her, I'm going to make her disappear, and no one's going to suspect anything. She's going to go out and just disappear. He could have set this up. It could have been a years long plan. It could have been years in the making. Who knows? Or this literally could be a sincere case of a missing person with a husband that loves her. He's just a weird guy on camera. We don't know. Most of the time, it's the significant other. It's the boyfriend, it's the lover, it's the lover's boyfriend or girlfriend or the husband or the wife. It's somebody very close to this person most of the time when someone goes missing. So I'm very suspicious of Barry. I just don't see anything completely solid yet, but except for his inconsistencies and suspicious about this whole job, different stories, definitely makes him look bad. We don't know that much about Suzanne, but we can't talk to her, but we do see Barry. We see his actions. We've seen him talk to Tyson Draper, and we've seen him tell these ideas about a mountain lion taking her. But at this point, the authorities say there would have been some kind of proof if a wild animal had gotten her, and there was nothing found that would have indicated that. Now, information about the property that Suzanne and Barry own and live in, that property has security cameras that were not being used. Were they never turned on when they moved in? If you have security cameras, they're important. In incidents like this, it would be huge to have that footage. I have a Ring doorbell, and I have seen so many things that I would have missed without that camera. I had a guy hide a backpack in my bushes right next to my front door. That was scary. I called the police to come check it out, but I saw it in my video Ring doorbell camera. The guy was a homeless guy, and he was found and given a trespass warning. But what was his motive? My front door was not clearly visible from the street. He very well could have hid weapons in there or himself and jumped out at me when I entered my home. Personally, I'm glad I didn't have to find out. But I also have a skunk that comes to my front door every night. So Suzanne and Barry live where there is a lot of wildlife. It would probably be in their best interest to know if a mountain lion or a bear or another animal paid them visits. A neighbor of ours posted an image last year of a bear on the sidewalk late at night out on our street. So my point is, you just don't know. And the cameras are very, very helpful. Look how helpful Chris Watt's neighbor's camera was in that case, and in the Gannon Stout case. Neighbors' cameras. So Barry had nothing to do with this. He's probably mad at himself for not having the cameras so that authorities wouldn't have been able to see Suzanne leave, be taken, or ride off on her bike. At exactly what time, in what direction, all that would have been really big and important. There's also a text conversation that was interrupted abruptly between Suzanne and her friend that could be crucial to the timeline, and to put that together with the surveillance of the property would have been huge. There is a reverse 911 call to the residents of the area asking for cameras to be reviewed. I'm going to play that. Let's listen.
This is Under Sheriff Andy Rourke with the Chaffee County Sheriff's Office. Members of the Chaffee County Sheriff's Office, with the assistance of the Colorado Bureau of Investigation and FBI, continue to search for Suzanne Morphew. Miss Morphew is a Chaffee County woman reported missing on May 10th, 2020. As the investigation into Suzanne Morphew's missing person case moves forward, Chaffee County residents are being asked to preserve any and all video footage from devices such as Ring doorbells, security cameras, game cameras, etc. from the dates of May 8th through May 12th. Citizens are only being asked to preserve the video at this time. Please do not send these videos to the Sheriff's Office or call the Sheriff's Office. As search areas are identified, investigators will contact residents in those locations to collect any camera footage within that May 8th to 12th window. Please do not call Chaffee County Dispatch with questions. The Chaffee County Sheriff's Office asks the public to continue to report any information about this case by calling 719-312-7530. The number again is 719-312-7530. Thank you.
Press 1 to confirm receipt. Press 2 to replay this message.
So you see that this tool is considered valuable to law enforcement and to people's personal safety. So I'm bothered that those cameras were not working. And if Barry's innocent, he's probably very bothered as well. If he's guilty, he's probably happy that they're not working. So many theories of who could have hurt or taken Suzanne. There's a theory from someone close to Barry that there were nephews that did away with her. These nephews purchased real estate without needing Suzanne's signature or permission. So apparently there's a grandfather named Gene. He's in control of his own estate until he's incapacitated or until he dies. After that, all 4 kids that are in the circle of family will have an equal 25% vested interest. The nephew's purchasing this land without needing Suzanne's signature basically tells you right there that she's, first of all, she's not declared dead yet, but there's no real hindrance or that to this alleged land dispute. So they have really no motive, no reason to take her or kill her, really none. So that doesn't hold it. So that doesn't hold any water. So we will continue to follow this case. I don't have a lot of confidence that Suzanne's body will ever be found. I'd be surprised if it did. But I'm curious to understand where her daughters are. It said they are off the grid and not responding to family. I do believe that they have decided to stay away from the media, from the drama involving this case. It's a high-profile case, and they're young girls. They don't need it, and they don't need to be, become victimized over it. So hopefully they're safe and sound somewhere and being well taken care of. Obviously, law enforcement doesn't have enough to make an arrest, but hopefully in the near future, that will change. That's it for now. Thank you for watching Left Undone Incomplete Investigations. I'm Kathryn. Be well, stay safe, and see you soon. So there is a link to the GoFundMe for the Suzanne Morphew case, and her brother has organized the information and a search party, like I said in the beginning of the show. And you should go ahead over to Profiling Evil, and you will get all the info you need. Also, if you want to watch their rerun of their live stream, which was done tonight, September 7th, that would probably give you a lot of information as well. Also, the Gateway Motel can be reached at 719-221-2203. And for volunteers that are going to participate in the search, you can stay there. They are giving the rooms, from what I understand. But check out the Profiling Evil site, and you'll get all the scoop, okay? And let's keep the story alive for Susan. Let's keep the story alive for Susan.